You know the feeling. You're just minding your own business, maybe sitting at your desk, and there it is, that unmistakable warm trickle. You touch your nose, look at your hand, and yep, it's a nosebleed. They always seem to pop up out of nowhere, don't they? They can be a little surprising, definitely inconvenient. So what's really going on in there? And more importantly, what's the right way to handle it? Okay, let's get into it. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to break down the science of why noses bleed in the first place. Then, we'll build your first aid playbook so you know exactly what to do. After that, we'll talk prevention strategies, how to spot the red flags that mean you should see a doctor, and finally, what the pros can do to help.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. Why does this even happen?
I mean, it really does seem to come out of the blue, right? One minute you're totally fine, the next you're scrambling for a tissue. But believe it or not, there's a pretty simple and specific reason for this sudden little drama.
Okay, so the fancy medical term is epistaxis, but the word you really need to focus on here is fragile. See, the inside of your nose is lined with a super delicate membrane, and it's just packed with tiny blood vessels that are really close to the surface. When those little guys rupture, well, that's your nosebleed.
So what makes them break? Well, the usual suspects are things that either dry out or just plain irritate that delicate lining. Dry air is a huge one, especially that indoor heat we crank up in the winter. Then there's physical trauma, and we're not talking about a major injury. It can be as simple as, nose picking, or just blowing your nose way too hard. And of course, if you've got a cold or allergies, that inflammation makes everything in there way more vulnerable.
And this slide really nails the core issue. Think of it like this. On the left, you've got a healthy nasal lining. It's moist, it's protected, it's happy. But on the right, when it gets all dry and irritated, it can actually start to crack. And that's what exposes those fragile blood vessels, making a bleed so much more likely.
Okay, so it happened. The bleed has started. What do? It's easy to feel a little panicky, but there's a super simple and effective way to handle it. Let's walk through your first aid playbook. Now you've got to follow these 4 steps exactly. First, sit up straight and lean forward. I can't say that enough. Lean forward. Second, use your thumb and finger to gently pinch the soft part of your nose completely shut. Third, just take it easy and breathe through your mouth. And last, but this is so important, you have to hold that pressure for a full 15 minutes. Set a timer if you have to, and no peeking.
This right here is the #1 mistake people make. You know that old advice to tilt your head back? Forget you ever heard it. It's totally wrong. All that does is send the blood down the back of your throat, which can really upset your stomach and make you feel sick. Leaning forward makes sure the blood drains out, not in.
All right, now that you're an expert at stopping a nosebleed, let's talk about the best strategy of all, how to keep one from happening in the first place.
It all comes down to keeping that nasal lining moist and protected. A humidifier in your bedroom, especially in the winter, is a total game changer. Just aim for about 30 to 50% humidity. Saline sprays are also fantastic for daily use. And here's a great little trick. A tiny dab of petroleum jelly on a cotton swab just inside your nostrils can create a great protective barrier. And of course, the simple stuff. Be gentle when you blow your nose and keep your fingernails trimmed.
And hey, don't forget the inside-out approach. Just drinking plenty of water throughout the day does wonders for keeping all your mucous membranes, including the ones in your nose, hydrated and healthy.
Okay, so while most nosebleeds are totally harmless, some can be a sign that something else is going on. So it's really important to know when you can just handle it at home and when it's time to call in a professional.
Now, this is a really key distinction. Things like high blood pressure or hypertension don't usually cause nosebleeds. But if you do get one, that high pressure can make the bleeding way more intense and a lot harder to stop. It's the same story with blood thinning medications. They don't start the bleed, but they can make it worse. And here's something to think about. If you get nosebleeds all the time, and you know other people in your family do too, it's worth paying attention. Sometimes that pattern can be a clue to a rare genetic condition called HHT, which affects how blood vessels are formed and makes them much more likely to bleed.
So let's make this really simple. Here's when to schedule an appointment. If you're getting nosebleeds a few times a week, if they're disrupting your life, or if you just started a new medication. But you need to seek immediate care. We're talking emergency room. If the bleeding is heavy or gushing, if it happens right after a head injury, or if you feel faint or dizzy.
And here is the absolute most critical rule. If you have been applying pressure correctly for 30 minutes, a full half hour, and you are still bleeding, that is a medical emergency. It's time to get help right away.
So what happens if you do need medical help? Let's say you have a nosebleed that just won't quit, or they keep coming back.
Well, doctors have some very effective tools to deal with this.
The two main interventions are something called cauterization and another called nasal packing. Both are designed to stop the bleeding right at the source and keep it from coming back.
Now, cauterization might sound a little intense, but it's actually a really common and pretty simple procedure. A doctor just uses a special chemical like silver nitrate or a little electrical device to gently seal off that one problematic blood vessel. It creates a tiny bit of scar tissue that acts like a permanent patch, preventing that spot from bleeding again.
So, the next time you get a nosebleed, you'll know exactly what to do. But once it's over, it's a good idea to ask this question. Was it just a random thing, or is your nose trying to tell you something? Maybe it's a sign that the air in your house is too dry, or a little reminder to be gentler. It could even be a nudge to check in with your doctor. Paying attention to those little signals is one of the best ways to stay on top of your health.